Hey Falcons, it's time for another edition of Tune In Tuesday. Today we have 4 employers joining us and they're going to talk about their summer internship program plans and how that might impact each of you. There's still a lot of uncertainty around what summer may look like because of COVID. So today we're going to hear from a variety of organizations on what they're planning for their summer interns. So let's get started by going around and doing some introductions. Danielle, I'm going to start with you.
Awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Danielle Savari. I am the Ag Business Recruiter for Land O'Lakes. I recruit anything from internships to executive level positions, and I am just so excited to tell you more about what we've learned throughout this virtual pandemic session and internships.
Kathy, how about you?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Kathy Dirks with American Foods Group, and I am the recruiting coordinator and internship program manager. I've been with the company for about 3 years now. So just like Danielle, I hire anywhere from our corporate exempt management director positions all the way to students like yourself who are just starting out in their college careers. So it's really fun to be able to hit on both ends of the spectrum. So we're hiring for a lot of roles this summer. We're going to have about 18 to 20 interns in various different departments. So we're really excited for you guys to join us.
Colleen, how about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Colleen Brown and I am a campus recruiter at Ecolab. I specifically support our research, development, and engineering roles, but I also do the intern programming across the engineering space. I've been with Ecolab for about 4 years and I am also a River Falls alum, so I'm really happy to be here today and share, and share some tips and tricks with the fellow recruiters.
Awesome. I think that leaves me.
Yes. Last but certainly not least, for sure.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Lafine. I am in corporate talent acquisition for Enterprise. I've been with our company for almost 15 years now, and I'm responsible for our hiring and recruiting efforts in the state of Minnesota. I do everything for Enterprise, National, and Alamo, and also run our internship programs here. I am looking to bring on about 15 interns for this summer's program in Minnesota. We also have an awesome team in Wisconsin who's looking to bring on about 15 to 20 summer interns as well. But we do have our program all over. So no matter where you're from, we have our nationally recognized internship program available for you to gain some really valuable and exciting experience. So it's so great to be here.
So let's kick it off. This is going to be a longer question and I would like each of you to answer. So let's plan on going in the same order. But at this time, what are your company's plans for summer internships? How many? What roles? Will they be on-site or remote? And then are there any lasting changes as a result of COVID? So Danielle, why don't you start and we'll go in the same order.
Yeah, so we are hiring interns. We already have some hired. We still have some open throughout the entire Land O'Lakes organization. So throughout the whole organization, which includes Land O'Lakes Corporate, our Winfield United, our Purina division, and our Truterra, or our environmental business, we have over 200 interns. So like I said, that's whole company-wide. And they will be anywhere, like I said, from accounting internships to agronomy, to feed sales, to crop scouts, because we hire freshmen to senior level in various different positions. So we are doing a multitude of different things for internships this summer. We have some that are fully on site because it is safe and capable and we have the accommodations needed to be in person or on site. We also have some with hybrid capabilities, so they'll spend some time in the office and some time out of the office. And then we also have the capability of fully virtual. internships as well. So it really came down to, when assessing our internships, on what the capabilities we had and what the positions needed. And we've just made those adjustments. We had to do a lot of that last year quickly. So this year we've had more time to plan for it. So we're ever so grateful for that. And I think for lasting changes, McKenna, I think that's part of it, right? Last year we were scrambling almost in a month to get some things organized, get things virtual, hybrid. How do we keep everybody safe? And so some of those changes have really stuck in place for this summer as well. And when we think about our internship trainings and the virtual trainings that we did, how we can improve them and give some different options, those are just, you know, some simple changes that have really stuck for this coming summer. And I think also just a huge factor of being able to connect with some of our leaders, even in a virtual format on a more regular basis. Before, we had to really figure out calendars to talk to our executive staffs and when they could be in the meeting and when they could do this. But hey, it's great now. You know, our CEO, Beth Ford, she's like, yeah, morning coffee, let me in on that meeting for 15 minutes. I'll Zoom right in there. So those are some really fun things that we've been able to do with our program, rather than having everything be in person for the past. So I think I hit all the questions there. Did I miss anything, McKenna?
You did great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so American Foods Group, we have about 18 to 20 positions available for this summer. And we've filled over half of them, but we still have some available and recruiting for still. Our open positions are in, or our positions in general are in learning and development, in finance, accounting, benefits, plant operations, IT, supply chain logistics management, graphic design, engineering, quality assurance, and environmental health and safety. So across the board, great opportunities in all areas. And depending on the area, like in quality assurance, we have 6 internships available, but then in learning and development, there's only 1. So the amount of internships available will vary based on discipline. All of our internships positions are in person. So we are not doing any virtual or remote internships at this time. Not saying that we won't have that option in the future, but right now, just how our company is set up and how we operate, we don't have any remote internships. And then the lasting changes due to COVID, I would definitely agree with what Danielle had touched on before in regards to having access to more people and more departments, because us two are spread out across Upper Midwest. And some of the feedback that we've gotten from previous interns who are in quality assurance want to know more about what marketing does and what sales does. And because they're only with us for a short amount of time, we don't have access to have them travel to our marketing team or our marketing team to travel to them to learn more and kind of give that information. So one thing that we did last summer that we're going to continue this summer is having weekly calls with guest speakers of our companies, and just tell them more about their discipline and their roles and how it all comes together to make American Foods Group operate. And not only just American Foods Group, but also our parent companies too, for Rosen's Diversified and Midwest Research Swine, where that's a whole nother industry that our interns never get to hear about. So when we tell them that Midwest Research Swine is a pork processing company, but all of the byproduct is sold back to medical research, like their heads explode and they're like, we want to know more. So that's something that we're gonna touch on more and continue to do this coming summer. So just like Danielle said, really, really great kind of happy accident for that to happen. So yeah.
All right, up to me. So at Ecolab, we take on about 230 to 300 interns a summer. We have undergrad and graduate internships as well. Most of our roles that we specify in are, I mean, it's kind of similar to everyone. It's kind of all over the place. We see a lot of STEM majors, engineers, but we have a really large sales organization at Ecolab. So we really gravitate towards students who might have a science or agriculture or food and beverage related skills to come join us. Many of our internships are full for the summer. We do still have, I would say, a good amount open. But I always like to talk about this because every company is a little bit different in timeline. We at Ecolab only accept junior status students. And so if there's fresh underclassmen, freshman or sophomore, this is really great to start the conversation and start the networking, because I'm sure like many of the other recruiters on the call, we are always recruiting and it never ends. And it's always great when you build up, you know, those sophomores to come join you the next year. So I just like to, that's a little plug there. As far as the roles, like I was saying, it's sales, research and development, supply chain, food and beverage, more inside sales, which is different than more of a technical sales role, finance, marketing, MBA marketing. I mean, we have a lot. As far as on-site and remote, we kind of looked at it this summer with a safety lens. Ecolab is a very safety-driven company. So we really looked at it that way. So a lot of our corporate functions are going to be remote. We're trying to replicate what our corporate, you know, full-time associates are doing. So then they can connect and work in that environment as their counterparts. And then for more of those like on-site or sales or research roles, those are going to be in person, but with safety precautions put into place. And of course, your comfortability at all. It's kind of a fluid process here. We want to make sure that you feel safe and that you can navigate through that. In regard to lasting changes, last year, we had to pivot like many, and we were still able to have our internship, but we developed a learning series. And so similar to what Danielle and Kathy were saying, it gives us an opportunity to connect with people that you don't typically connect with. So we had everything from networking to strength finders to trivia, kind of the fun stuff. But then we also had leaders who were able to come, right? They can just come from their home or their office, and it's a lot easier. So we'll have coffee with VPs, Q&A with our CEO, things like that. But what I found the biggest change was that interns were able to connect with each other all across. Our internship spread across the United States. So someone in California was able to talk to someone in New York, which is really cool, and kind of connect and work through their internship together. So that's something that has been lasting, and I hope we continue to do.
That's wonderful. Ashley, how about enterprise?
All right. So our internship is a really great opportunity to kind of dive into the first couple of months of our full-time entry-level management trainee position. So our internship is an in-person internship, and we really kind of pride it on hands-on real-world business experience. We're open to any major, but I will say that it does focus more on the business side of things. So we tend to attract more business-minded individuals with individuals from tons of different backgrounds and tons of different majors in the same sense. So we're really excited. We have filled a lot of our spots in Minnesota. I have 2 spots left in area. And then we have some spots left in the Wisconsin group as well. So you're not too late. You still have time. I think all of us would say, please connect and reach out after this. We'd love to learn more about you. But you guys, I think this summer is is going to be different, just like the last year has been kind of different. And we're just excited to get you in and to kind of try to feel a little more normal, I guess. But there are things that have changed, and hopefully when you look over the last year, even through all of the hard times, hopefully we've been able to pick out some of those things that have been a benefit for us. And I think one thing we think about is just some of the efficiencies that come with being virtual. So yes, we're going to be in person, but some of those trainings that we would typically maybe have everyone drive to come together, that would be an hour, hour and a half drive for some people. Now we can do that virtually, and you have that time back in your day. Also, like everyone else said, kind of those abilities to connect with people from all over who maybe wouldn't have been able to connect with you in person. This is now really normal. The virtual world feels comfortable for all of us, and we're kind of able to provide you some more elevated and unique opportunities that we didn't necessarily have as a part of our program in the past, but also still priding our program on those core basics of helping you to develop communication skills and talking to people in a safe, socially distanced, face mask wearing kind of environment, but being able to build those connections and develop those business skills. Did I get everything, McKenna?
You did.
Okay.
Well done. Okay, for our next questions, I'm going to identify a certain individual to start it off, and then feel free, everyone, to build off of that answer. But the first question, I'm going to direct this one to Colleen. Colleen, what are some of the qualities you're seeking in intern applicants? And are there any virtual qualifications or skills you would like applicants to be emphasizing at this point?
Yeah, great question. So I would say with some of the qualities, we can start with the basics, right? There's a lot of the basics here. But I would say the biggest thing is when a virtual environment is really sprucing up your resume. I know that that's not always fun, but it's really important in the sense of that's how you're connecting with a lot of recruiters, is on virtual or through your resume. So having that is really great. But I would say bringing a perspective that's uniquely yours and a passion is super just like a recruiter's dream. I think in this state, there's going to be more job seekers than there are jobs. That's the reality of the situation. And so when you're meeting with recruiters and you're learning about companies, we really want people who are excited and who are passionate and did their research and understand what the company is doing and how they want to get involved. And I would also say creativity. Given this environment, we've had to pivot, we've had to adapt. And so we want to hear your big ideas. That's why we have internships. That's why we have students. We want to hear what you're learning about. We want to hear what you can bring to the table, and we want to get that creative side. I say that because I mostly work with a lot of engineers, and so I always am like, that's a skill that's really valuable. Let's talk about it. But some of the basics would be, communication, hardworking, dedicated, punctual, organized, kind of those. And then as far as new qualities and qualifications, is talking about how you're working through a virtual environment. What's your comfortability doing your courses online? How have you worked through that? How have you partnered with your professor or your fellow students? Those are going to be great skills that we're looking for as you're about to join our team. We're thinking, oh, they're going to be able to fit right in. They are independent enough, but then they can also work in a team setting. And lastly, I would say any sort of leadership or peer leading that you do. That's something that we really value. We want our interns to feel empowered to work on their projects, but also to work with each other. And so if you have any of those opportunities on campus or outside of campus, even working jobs, those are great to talk about. It shows us your initiative and it shows how you can lead through others. So those are the first things that come to mind, McKenna, when I think of qualifications.
I love it. It's nice to know that there are still some of those tried and true skills like communication. I mean, and the ways in which we've had to pivot our communication. I mean, even though some of these skills still ring true, the way in which we execute them, there you can even identify pivots in that. So great stuff. Anybody else have anything that they would add to skills or qualities you're seeking?
You nailed it, Colleen. Really, the only thing I would say, like piggybacking off the communication, is not being afraid to ask questions. I know we say that all the time to interns, but even more in a virtual setting. I mean, you have to email someone, you have to reach out and call someone. You can't just look over your shoulder sometimes and ask them. He may not be there, right? So you have to take that initiative and ask the questions and ask for the information if you need it. That's the only thing I would add.
Absolute initiative and that self-motivation, totally. Danielle, how has your internship program changed as a result of the pandemic?
Yeah, I'm just so much like everyone, right? It did like a complete 180, right? How do we reformat this? What do we do? And I'm excited about it. Yeah, it was stressful, but I'm excited for the changes that we saw. So really looking at what can we have interns accomplish on a virtual setting or in person. A lot of things last year was, okay, we're shipping you your laptop. Give us your address. Here's some technology items. Hopefully you can make it work. If not, I don't know, call IT, because I have no idea how to do it, right? Like, so here we go. So I think our program has really changed in the essence of like, there's a lot of responsibility on our interns. I have been notorious for almost wanting to like handhold interns as they come on, because they're just like my little minions and I love them so much and I want to take care of them and like be their bodyguard if needed, right? But really it's changing into, this is your gig. Make it your own. Make sure that you are going full force with what we have given you. And I'll say a lot of the projects have really enhanced. You know, we've had intern projects throughout every internship program, but now last summer and this summer, it's really enhanced to about the future. What do we see technology coming in and working in, you know, our HR internships, our feed sales internships? How do we utilize that even in our in-person interactions as well? How do we continue to make sure that we can still go out to those farmers and talk to them about what we're seeing in their field and, you know, utilize all communication factors and realize some people may not be 100% with you coming in and sitting at their kitchen table and chatting with them about, you know, things that they're seeing in the field. So how you work through that. And ultimately, I think our program just became a lot more inclusive this year because, like you guys are mentioning, you're talking to people from different states, different areas. It's wonderful that everybody can connect and get to know each other. And even some students are like, oh, I go to the same university, but I've never met you. Like, how cool that we're here together and we get to do this. And I think for us, a big thing was making sure the interns were taken care of. So like goodie bags and various different things that we were sending out. It sounds silly, but it really helps to keep that connection and for the interns to see what our products go into. Like Land O'Lakes, our products go into Cheetos, right? And so it's fun. Like you get a bag of Cheetos and you're like, yeah, like we're part of this process, which is great. So I think that's some very high level ways that our program has changed and evolved in Land O'Lakes and throughout the entire organization.
Well, everybody, no matter how old you are, everybody likes free stuff. So swag's going to be a big hit no matter what.
All the time, yes.
All the time. Ashley, could you talk a little bit about the training and the onboarding process for the interns and what that looks like?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so for our interns, we start off with a week of new hire orientation. That is a little bit more of a classroom kind of setting, and you spend some time with our corporate talent development manager. And honestly, you guys, we try to cram in as much in your head as we possibly can to kind of jumpstart everything, right? So some company history, some virtual guest speakers. We'll probably, kind of try to give you a little bit of an overview on everything while setting you up on the technology side as much as we can. After that initial week, we have you do some like observation in the field with your team and kind of hang out and observe. And then we kind of want you to dive right in. So what's really unique about Enterprise is literally everyone starts in our entry-level management trainee position. And for our interns, you're kind of having this unique opportunity to experience the first couple months of that. So we all remember that. Everybody you meet, we're all like, oh yeah, I remember being scared for a long time or asking the same question 50 million times and feeling like uneducated in every area of our operations. So everyone here values our interns so much because you come on during our peak season. We need you. You're an important part of our business, but also because we can relate so much. We've been there, we've kind of done that, we've all been through that. And I think that's really a great mentoring kind of opportunity for our interns. Throughout that first month, you'll randomly come back to our administrative offices to work with our corporate talent development manager to say, okay, you've been doing this for a while. Everyone's together, like, let's bounce ideas off of each other. What's working, what's not working, to try to help bring that first month together and say, how do we help you to even be more successful in the second half? How do we help you have more takeaways? And I will say, you guys, that I keep saying in person, to be honest, we haven't officially decided all of those like training kind of details, whether we're going to do smaller groups in a couple formats, or if by then CDC guidelines will recommend bigger groups is okay. Or if all of that will be a little bit of a virtual setting as well. So I forget that this last year sometimes happened when I'm referencing some of these things about our program. But I guess to kind of just piggyback one last thing on that is that, one thing that has changed is that sometimes we don't have everything planned out, and some change relatively quickly. And when you come into an internship, I think you just have to remember that and be okay knowing that not every task that you're going to be assigned is necessarily outlined in our internship program anymore, because we might not have known that we're going to need to do that then. So even as an employee who's been here for a long time, the last year has really just shown me that I want to diversify my skills. I want to find ways to be valuable for my company. And I think we're hoping to see that from our interns too, and that flexibility and that adaptability.
Well said. Anybody else have anything they would add about the way you train or onboard your interns? Good. Okay. Kathy, what advice would you offer to students seeking a summer internship?
Yeah, good question. I feel like this is the golden question that even when you're interviewing, everybody asks, what do I need to do to make myself successful in this internship with your company in general? And I think that the best advice overall that I would be able to give to students seeking internships, don't pigeonhole yourself, and have that broad range of coursework and broad range of activities and extracurricular activities that you're involved with. Because I know that even when I was going through college, it's like, yes, this is the path I want to be on. These are the courses that I need to take in order to make me successful for the internship or my future career, this, that, and the other thing. And then when you're faced with reality and you're graduated, I haven't done anything with my career or with my degree. And so it's like, even if you do stray from your standard coursework and your cookie cutter classes, those are still going to really benefit you and add value to your background and knowledge, because even if you're in plant operations with us and you're an operations intern, you still need to know about finance. You still need to know about marketing. You still need to know about HR and those policies that go on in your plant. Like, it's your plant. You need to have that broad range of knowledge that you can apply and use those critical thinking skills and just pull everything that you've learned. So don't pigeonhole yourself. Not only, like I said, not only through coursework, but also through your extracurricular activities. Continue to network with a broad range of people, and continue to put yourself out there. Show that you are motivated, show that you are self-driven, and that you can work autonomously and independently with the freedoms that your internship site gives you, because that's going to take you farther than just checking off a course because you think it would help you. So definitely being outgoing, showing your personality and everything that you have to give the company that you're with, because that's going to take you so much farther than any course would. And I know that that's so cliche, but it's really true. So I think that that's some of the advice that I would give students who are looking for internships.
Well, and being open to those opportunities gives those students another opportunity to potentially uncover a passion that they otherwise may not know existed. And
Definitely.
So it's those cross-discipline experiences or coursework or expanding that involvement that allows for those greater aha moments of, oh, wow, I never knew I had this interest, but let's do this.
Definitely.
So that's great advice.
And American Foods Group, we promote internal growth and internal promotion, and we promote cross-functionally all the time. So that it's just super beneficial. So
could I add to this one, McKenna?
Absolutely, please do.
Kathy, everything you said was so great. It sparked an idea in my mind that my advice for students who are looking for internships is start earlier than you are comfortable with. Like, it feels weird, but do it early, especially with all these great organizations, right, that are popular, and there's going to be a lot of applicants. So start the process early and network. I know that I remember being in college. It's so funny now. And I would go to the career fair and I'd be so scared. Now it's my job. But it's so true. You have to network and ask. I'm sure all of us on this call, if you're like, hey, I'm interested in engineering, we have a name already in our mind that we can give you. And people love talking about themselves and they love talking about what they do. And I say this for interns too, because, right, you have to be open. There's different opportunities, but the more you can network with people in the industry, the better you have an understanding, and then the better you will go in prepared for an interview, because you kind of already got the inside scoop. So I always recommend that. Recruiters that's what we do. We network for a living. So don't be afraid to ask someone. And my piece of advice is, after every meeting and network conversation you have, ask for another contact's name so you can continue down the road. I met with about 12 people at Ecolab before I got my job, and I was very persistent. So I put that out there too. Show them that you want to be there. Show them that you're passionate. I can tell you that candidates who send me notes and really deliver that to me, they rise above, because I know that they're passionate and they want to be here. So I would say start the process early. Like Kathy was saying, put yourself out there. It'll be okay. What's the worst that'll happen? And have fun with it. Show yourself off. Be authentic. That's my biggest advice.
I love it. And then the confidence grows from there, right? The earlier you start, the more conversations you have until you find your rhythm and your confidence. So absolutely. Early and often would be the line we say in the office. Okay, so Colleen, I want to direct a question toward you. Given what we're experiencing in the pandemic, have your recruitment strategies pivoted or adjusted in any way?
Yeah, yes, drastically. You know, it's funny. So typically, right, we have our core schools, right? We know our locations. We're like, this is the Midwest, this is the East, this is the, you know, South. This year has given us an opportunity to connect with all students that I think is amazing. And so our strategies went with, yes, we were going to virtual career fairs, but we were doing a lot of networking and recruitment through like school chapters and organizations and diversity conferences. And this really allowed us to meet students from universities I didn't even know existed, to be honest, and all across the United States, which I think is amazing. And so I think that's the biggest strategy, but also from my perspective is I'm doing a lot more candidate reviewing and assessing than I usually do. That's just because the applicants are much higher. So I would say the recruitment has changed, and it's, if anything, it's probably been a little bit of a longer process because we're really trying to evaluate all the applicants and, you know, the internships and our availability. And also with the pandemic, hiring needs and goals are like this, right? We're like, where's the finance team? What's happening? So I say that in a sense, I know some of the questions are, you know, timing of when you should hear back from a recruiter, you know, what's going to happen next. And so I think in that process, a little bit of patience, a little bit of adaptability, but don't be afraid to apply for a job and apply for an internship. And I would also recommend really reading through the qualifications and the job posting, so you're putting in your time and effort into something that's going to best fit you and you're not weeded out right away. So I would recommend that. But I think as a recruitment strategy, we've been able to connect closer to students with their organizations and their passions versus, you know, coming to a fair with a table. I actually think we've been able to meet more students. We did a tracker of this, and more students from all across the United States. So it's been great.
That's wonderful. Anybody else have anything that they would like to add on how recruitment has changed?
I don't have like a crazy bold point here to add, but I will say that I do agree with Colleen in that before COVID, our process was like, we had all the answers, you guys. We knew everything. We knew like your start date. We knew where you were going to be going, who your manager was going to be, what your job was going to be. And now I can say, like, for our recruitment process, it does change. I will get an update after a meeting we had yesterday and be like, we are no longer hiring at that location. It's now going to be this location. So I do agree, like, we're trying to be patient with you as you kind of navigate this new world. And hopefully you can know that, be patient with us too, because we don't always have all the answers. And sometimes it is a little bit longer of a process because I'm like, I still don't know exactly when that start date is. As soon as I do, I'm going to let you know. And it doesn't mean we're disorganized. It just means that we're running a business in the midst of a pandemic.
Fair. Just a few things going on, right? In any given day. Kathy, I know that we have a couple minutes left before you have to hop off. So I want to direct one more question to you. If you have several interns together in a location, do you provide networking opportunities with those interns?
Yeah, so when you say networking opportunities, do you mean network opportunities just within them students themselves?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so good question. And yes, we do, because we have interns across in several different states. Our main location is here in Green Bay, but then we also have people in Illinois, Minnesota, and then Nebraska. So one of the things and one of the benefits that we do provide our interns is summer housing. And we house those interns together. And so this is kind of like a personal networking type thing. Yeah. But one of the things that the interns love about the internship is that they do stay together because they do stuff together all summer long at the location that they're at. So they stay together in the apartments. They join big teams together they join those leagues with other AFG employees. And so they're just constantly connecting on that personal level all the time. And same with our other locations too. But then kind of on the more professional level, we bring together the interns via Zoom or virtual once a week to touch base. Every intern has an opportunity to give a project update, what they're working on, what they're looking forward to, opportunity to ask questions. Some of the interns will work on projects together. I know this past summer, our finance interns were helping some of our plant operations interns gather information and pull data that they needed to complete their projects. So they worked together that way. And then we also bring each other together mid-internship to do fun events, company outings, baseball games, reconnecting with plant management and our senior leadership team. So definitely a lot of opportunities to get connected with not only the interns, but also our management team on a personal level too. Because you don't see that at a lot of companies. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on. And one of the things that does make our internship program so strong is that our plant management and our senior leadership team isn't afraid to go out and join a bags team with just an intern. Because you're not just an intern when you're with us. You are a normal full-time employee and you are part of our family. So we do a lot of stuff together in office, in plant, but also in the community as well.
That's great. Well, Kathy, thanks for jumping on the call and participating in the podcast. I know you have to hop to another meeting, so
yeah,
thanks
sorry.
so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye. Anybody else want to pop in about how interns may have an opportunity to network with each other throughout their internship?
Yeah, I can pop on. I would say similar to what Kathy's saying, there's natural networking just like set up through programming and your manager. But I would also say get involved at a bigger level at the company. If you have, like, we have employee resource groups, which are similar to clubs and organizations. And our interns take that in stride, man. They love it. And it's a really great way for them to not only connect with each other, but to meet other people in the organization. And so even though we're in this hybrid virtual setting, those initiatives are still really important. So we'll have groups dedicated to women, young professionals, LGBTQ plus, African American. There's all these different groups. And I think given the last year too, we've really noticed, and I'm sure we all have, the importance of being an ally. So that's something that we've really stepped up in. And so I would say for interns is also take it upon yourself, like network, meet with each other. You don't always have to wait for, you know, your program lead or your manager to set that up with you. And trust me, we know about it and we talk about it and we think it's great. It's a good quality to have. So continue to do that and take the opportunities that the company has for you. Like sometimes your manager won't give you everything on a silver platter. So do the research yourself and connect on your own too.
Ashley, what advice would you give students related to technology to help them prepare for future virtual engagements?
Ooh, good question. You guys, I think you guys are probably becoming experts. Students are becoming experts in this technology world. So whenever I think of the virtual world, the biggest thing when we're talking about networking or interviewing that comes to mind is you guys still have to prepare. So when we're networking or interviewing in person, you're picking out what you're going to wear. You're, you know, typing the address in your phone. You might even drive by the location. You're figuring out where you're going to park. You know, you're doing all of these different things to prepare. And I want to remind you that for, you know, virtual meetings, networking events, interviews, you still have to prepare. It's just a different kind of preparation, right? I still want to see you, you know, get dressed up like you would for the interview. I want you to test your audio, test your video, like go into set a space up where you're not holding your phone. I literally did an interview and I was like looking up somebody's nose because of the angle that they had. And I did another interview where somebody's dog jumped right on their lap and was like right in front of the camera. And the dog was very cute, but it threw the interview off for the interviewee. They started to feel uncomfortable. They lost their confidence because then they were worried what I thought about it. So you guys, I want to encourage you to remember that you need to prepare for these virtual events. You need to test your technology. You need to make sure you have a space set up as much as you can to prepare for these interactions with people. We realize you might live in an apartment with 3 other people, and we get that. That's completely fine, but try to have your space in your room set up for it. Maybe even letting your roommates know, hey, I have an interview at 3 o'clock or whatever it might be. Just if you guys could remember to be more quiet and do that planning, do that preparation, and be prepared for us so that we can still see that you had that genuine interest in our company and the meeting. Also, don't forget about LinkedIn. LinkedIn was big a year ago, you guys, but it's bigger than, better than ever. It's not going away. For fresh sophomore, we want to connect with you. We want to connect with you on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource for you to follow up on these networking and interview connections. So we meet for, Tune In Tuesday. You should be adding us all on your LinkedIn network, sending us a message and saying, hey, I just watched the podcast today. You guys were so helpful. I'd love to connect for future opportunities and that kind of a thing. Like kind of the theme, I think, just to recap on all of that, is you guys get out of all of this stuff what you put into it. You know, an internship, you can clock in, clock out, you can put it on your resume, you can collect a paycheck, or you can be that person that is setting up those networking meetings and saying, hi, I'm the newest intern here. Who are you? What's your story? You don't probably, get a job from watching Tune In Tuesday, but can you take it to that next level? Is it required of you to add us on LinkedIn? No, but that's how you guys elevate these experiences and actually take away valuable stuff from the stuff that you don't get paid necessarily to do. So it's up to you to take it to that next level, whether it's technology-wise or virtually or in person or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. And all skills for life, not just in securing that internship. These are all things that when it comes to that first full-time job, that second full-time job, these are still relevant strategies that professionals with years of experience are also replicating in their own search process and day-to-day work style and behavior as well. Yeah, great. So our last question of the afternoon. If your interns are remote now or plan to be remote, what does your engagement with them look like, and has that performance evaluation process changed? Colleen, why don't you start, and then Danielle, you jump in after.
Yeah, so the engagement piece really, I think what we have all kind of come to the conclusion is the engagement piece hasn't changed. We've adapted to it. So we're still engaging with you, but we're just doing it in different ways. So we're doing it remotely. And I think we've all kind of touched on as companies, we're hosting the events, right? Now it's up to you to go to the events and to fully utilize them. So I would say that is, if anything, it's made us connect more. We've actually do more of it because there's this idea in the back of our mind, like, oh, they're not in person, so we need to do more. So I would say, at least at Ecolab, and I'm seeing similar companies, we're adding more engagement. We're really making sure that what we're having you listen in on or join is purposeful. I think that's the biggest thing. We know you're on a computer, we know you're working all day, you know, or you might have class. Like, we want you to feel empowered to do that. And I would say the second part of the question, can you repeat that again?
Absolutely. Has the performance evaluation process changed?
Yes, no, it has. To be honest, it really has, because if you have a manager who's remote managing you, you don't have that face-to-face. So I always encourage my interns to make sure you're having performance conversations often and early, and ask for that feedback. I know that we always prep our managers, right? Let them know, got to make sure you give your intern feedback. We give them the like HR fun, here's a document, fill it out. But I always tell my interns when we meet, ask them for it, because again, every manager is different, and sometimes the nudge from HR doesn't get it going. So you gotta put yourself out there and ask for the feedback. Be open. I want to be, how do I continue to grow here? Where are my development opportunities? Can I help with this other project that looks really interesting to me? One of the best advice I got from my director is, don't ask for permission always. It's okay to do things, and it's okay to be curious. So that really has changed the evaluation process, because I feel as though interns are having to put more into it, and instead of seeking that feedback, they are asking for it. So that's definitely changed. And you really have to showcase your skills in the virtual setting. So at least for us, a big part of our internship is a final presentation, and I'm sure many other companies do that too. So that's a big portion now, right? Really make sure you take that into consideration, but use your voice on team meetings, even if it's just a coffee with your manager or whatever it is. Make sure you're an advocate for yourself. You are the best advocate. Might only be your only advocate. I always like to say that in transparency. So I would say that does change the evaluation process, but for most companies, I would imagine it's pretty standard how you go through it with your manager, but keep that in mind and always push for more. That's would be my best advice.
Danielle, how do performance evaluations work at Land O'Lakes, and what's engagement look like there?
Yeah, so Colleen did great there. I mean, I'll say from Land O'Lakes perspective is, we have a lot more of those check-ins. And like Colleen was saying, we have this perspective of we're not seeing them. We need to check in with them, make sure everything's going okay, which is great. So even if it is 15 minutes, you're like, why do I have this 15-minute meeting at like 10 today? Shouldn't it be an hour? No, we just want to check in. We want to see how things are going. Take that valuable 15 minutes and don't just take it as like, oh, a meeting that means nothing. And what I always tell students too is put that camera on, right? We want to see your face, and the managers want to see you. They're going to recognize you. Then the more they see you, the better that is, rather than just your name on a screen. So take that extra effort. You put that comb through the hair and be on the camera, because it is important. And, we do have a lot of those little smaller things that make a difference. And I'll say on the evaluation side, that's something we really talked a lot about this summer, is how can we make sure we're engaging with the students, that they're getting what they want out of the summer. And like Ashley was talking about earlier, we're pivoting all the time, right? The next day we're going to hear something different from the manager and we got to figure this out. So it used to be a well-oiled machine, but now we're still learning. So, you know, just be patient with us. Know that we're, you know, going to find the answers for you. We may not have them right away, but we are doing more than just one intern check-in, you know, during the summer. That used to be something that was very standard, but now we're doing multiple, and those, you know, weekly conversations with interns as a whole without their direct manager, just talking about the program and the engagement itself. So a lot of those smaller things that we want your feedback on, because you're going to make that impact, right? If we're going to continue to have these internships and you give us a great suggestion, you can say that you did that for our organization. How awesome is that? So do it. Take the initiative, voice your opinions. Don't think anything is stupid, because I want to learn from you just as much as you want to learn from me. So that's a little bit of, you know, what Land O'Lakes has been up to.
Good stuff. Ashley, even with everything remaining in person, have there been any changes to the evaluation process or the ways in which internship engagement looks?
Yeah, so we haven't adjusted too much of our evaluation. What we do is we actually pride ourselves on giving tons of feedback. So you guys, if you, like everyone else was saying, if somebody is taking time out of their day to give you constructive criticism or to give you feedback or to say great job, take that to heart. Even if you don't agree with it, go home, think about it, and somebody has that perception of you to take the time to give you that feedback. So, you know, ask a mentor for follow-up advice on what to do if you don't agree with it or something like that. If you're not getting that feedback, then I agree, ask for it. Say, hey, I'm here to learn. What else do you want to see from me? How can I do better? Or, you know, how can I improve my performance for you or whatever? So we are still going through constant evaluations. We kind of do weekly one-on-ones with our team. We give a formal review at the end of the internship program. Other than that, engagement is a little bit, you know, while our program is in person, engagement is a little bit more virtual. Like I had mentioned earlier, you might see some virtual trainings, you might see some, you know, virtual coffees and stuff like that. But I think that is really cool. And at the end of the day, I think that only can help you in your internship become more well-rounded, because a lot of these things that we've talked about probably won't go away. And you guys, we're doing that now. Like if we can't get together for hour-long lunches to connect with our team and grab something to eat, that's okay now, because we can all just hop on Zoom, eat our lunch, still connect. It's more efficient. We feel like we've got that connection. But in order for you to be successful in that, you have to actively engage and take advantage of those opportunities. So that's on you. I promise once you get to those non-required meetings or events or whatever, you will have a blast and you will feel so much more connected to your internship program and your team. It's just remembering, like Danielle said, put your comb through your hair, put your camera on, go do it. You'll feel great. You'll have good takeaways, but only you can make yourself go to those.
Absolutely. Falcons, we want you to be remembered for the right reasons. And we want you to be remembered as the go-getters that were self-motivated and took advantage of all the opportunities. So that concludes our summer internship prediction episode for Tune In Tuesday. I'm leaving feeling really optimistic. We had 4 different employers in different industries all saying, yep, we're a go. All 4 look different and are being facilitated differently, but all very successfully and with the interns in mind. So the 4 of you put a little more hitch in my giddy up today, and I'm really excited for our students and the opportunities that they'll have to be able to capitalize on in summer 2021 and beyond. So thanks for your time today, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.